What a gadget, man. That's crazy.
Subscribing to The Observer on YouTube couldn't be easier, and we're going to show you exactly how to do that. First, navigate to www.youtube.com/theobservernj. Once you get there, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button. Next to the subscribe button, click the down arrow and then all. And that's it. You're subscribed, and now anytime The Observer is live, you will be notified. Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you live from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this the 22nd day of August in the year 2025. Sure hope you're enjoying your Fridays. And as we do each and every Friday, my dear friend Tony Mondaro joins us to talk about the weather. And here he is from the Harrison Weather Center. Good afternoon, Tony.
Kevin, what a beautiful day, huh?
Right?
Whoa.
What's going on? I mean, you predicted this, though. I mean, it was in the middle of July. And I don't know if everybody thought you were crazy or what, but you said, you know what? It's going to be a little bit of a cooler August this year. And it has been. And today is beautiful. What is going on here? You are right on the money predicting all of this.
Thank you. And before I start, good afternoon to you too, our owner Lisa there at the Observer. She comes checking in the first one there. That was great. I appreciate that. And yes, what a wonderful day out there. Temperatures in the low 80s. They'll remain there for the rest of the day. Nice northerly wind, about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Now, folks, the National Weather Service has continued the coastal flood advisory till 11 o'clock tonight. So if you live in any tidal flood-prone areas, I think it would be rather minor. Won't be like yesterday's tide, which might have been a little bit higher than normal around here, especially if you live down, say, off Toledo Avenue, down there in Lyndhurst and those Meadows areas there in South Kearney. In some of the more fragile areas, there might be some overtopping. But our friend Aaron finally well out to sea, and as predicted here a couple of weeks ago, no direct impacts from the storm, some indirect minor impacts here and there. And believe it or not, before we went on air in our pre-production meeting, we said that rain that we had the other day on Thursday into Friday morning was due to a trough moving through, reinforcing that cooler air that we had. We did the whole day yesterday outside in a sweatshirt, and when we can do that, I'm a pretty happy camper.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there, but the mute button went on. Okay, so this has just been a day, Tony. I wanted to write it off earlier in the morning, and I apologize for that. I don't know what the hell I'm doing today. I don't know which end is up. I apologize. So earlier,
Kev, along with the black cloud that follows me every day when you see in the sky, the same thing happens to me. So you're in good company.
That's good. I feel better now knowing that. But when we were off the air too, we were also you had mentioned to me that the storm that caused all the rain and the wind in the middle part of the week actually helped push Erin out to sea. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because my thought was, oh boy, this must be the tail end of Erin, but it wasn't. Talk about that a little bit.
Right. So what happens is, Kevin, that's a great question. You have these fronts come through, and behind fronts are usually areas of high pressure. Sometimes what we call antifronts. And what an antifront is, you have the front move through, and behind the front is the precipitation. Usually, in normal cold frontal situations, you have the precipitation before the front passes, and then it gets cleared. So what happened in this case, you have a little precipitation. You have the front come through, you have precipitation at the end, and then now you have the building high pressure, like today. Beautiful
Right.
day, not really a cloud in the sky except for the cloud hanging over Davis Avenue, the weather station. And right, and then you have now the high pressure. So storms like to follow the path of least resistance. And
Right.
like I was saying to you before we got on the air, these are quite simple forecasts for us here at the Weather Center. When you have all the numerical models, and we'll take a look. Say if one of the weather channels have like one of these AI models, I'll take a glance. They have this Google AI weather model now,
Oh,
which was way off,
yeah.
on the track. They have others out there. The European has one, which was way to the left of the track. AI, as well as it could do in some situations, has a long way to go to catch up to the weather models.
My God, that stuff scares me too, because there are also people out there that actually buy into this and think this is the future. I mean, I don't like that. I really don't. But let me take it. Let me turn that same question into something else too. Lisa told me yesterday that at some point the beaches were closed, but the lifeguards were still on duty in Seaside Heights. So all of that was based on what you just described, and not anything to do with her. With really nothing to do with Hurricane Erin. I want to just make sure that's clear.
Right, and that's Rob Connors' staff down there in Seaside Heights. Where we know Rob and his guards down there at Seaside. The reason why we know Rob, and we have a weather station from WeatherFlow on the roof of that weather station. And
Oh,
for years before they automated that station, we maintained that station. We actually, back in the day, fronted money for that weather station to go up because we want to have the lifeguards down there, because I have a love and affection for Seaside and Seaside Heights. We want them to have the best equipment. And through the years, we have improved that weather station. So knowing Rob and knowing the operation down there, the reason why one of the reasons why is to try to keep the community safe from people going down into the water there. That's number one. And number two, they had that drowning death about a week before. So they're really putting their defenses up and making sure that the people are safe down there, down the shore.
so bottom line then, that closing those beaches was the right thing to do, even though we're in the the dog days of August here, people's vacations and things like that. Shutting down the beaches and keeping the lifeguards there was the right move.
Absolutely. I believe in some instances, they will actually keep the lifeguards after they're supposed to go off duty, some overtime to make sure those beaches are closed. And then after they leave, they have like the Seaside Heights Police Department, Toms River Police Department go around with those ATVs patrolling the beaches. Now the surfers is another story. They may let the surfers go, and then they have fins and they're professionals to go out there. But even something like that, and we read some of the surf reports that are online, and they use the word sloppy, meaning that the waves are very sloppy, not really surfable waves, is the way the wind is blowing down there. Now, as far as wind gusts were concerned, now the highest wind we can find was off the Hatteras buoy with this storm, about 200 miles east of Cape Hatteras. They gusted to 92 miles per hour.
Whoa.
Here, closer to New Jersey, the winds were more or less in the mid 40s. Seaside did a 42. There was LBI and Barnegat Light did about a 45 miles per hour. And these are right on the barrier islands, substantially lower when you go over the bridge or over on the mainland, where it's more like 20 to 30 miles per hour. The other day with the rainfall, we wound up having 1.11 inches of rain, 270 for the month. So not bad. We want to try to keep that, but those little dry weeks in July and August really did a number on some of our lawns,
Yeah.
drying them out. So we're still a little bit dry. And I believe we are in the first stage of the drought monitor. But if we keep up the precipitation, Kev, we'll be okay. So before we go any further, everybody, please like and subscribe because that's how we keep this going. And for the weekend, not a bad setup at all. You're going to have sunny days, fair nights. Now, Sunday, another reinforcing front comes in. That could be preceded and accompanied by some rain showers. High temperatures each day in the low 80s. Overnight low temperatures in and around 70 degrees, give or take a couple of degrees there. And then going for next week, and Carl Manley's going to love this forecast. You're going to have a beautiful week next week with plenty of sunshine, high temperatures in the 70s, some lower 80s, and overnight low temperatures in the 50s and 60s.
Oh.
And yesterday before had our day going, we started with a temperature of 58 degrees. So Tony Mondaro was a very happy camper yesterday with the beautiful weather and there were, I should say, temperatures that we had yesterday. I like the rain too, so I guess all weather is beautiful to all weather forecasters.
No, no, I get it because, my mother texted me that morning and she said it was 52 in Newton because, much
Okay.
higher elevation. It's always colder, cooler there. But seeing that temperature in August, the first thought that I had when she told me that was the temperature was, Tony was right. Tony was right because that I mean, and let's go back. I mean, just for anybody who may not have been here the week that we talked about this, did you not say that you had a good sense that we were going to have a maybe below average temperature month in August?
Yeah, that's correct. Because what we were seeing as far as the pattern setting up and everything like that, which is great because it keeps the hurricanes away. The
Yeah.
last thing we need is another Sandy. The last thing we need up here is a hurricane. And folks, please, 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 don't even I don't even care if you don't even monitor the Harrison Weather Center. Okay, I'm not on some type of strive where I'm looking for clicks. Get official weather information. We will give you the official weather information here at the Harrison Weather Center as far as National Weather Service warnings, advisories, etc. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
official sources would be the National Hurricane Center, the National Weather Service local office, and when it comes to evacuation or come to an area where you think you may have to move, consult your local emergency and county emergency manager. They would know best how to move people and stuff like that. Here, like I said in the past, we will guide them if they call because we are trained in hurricane evacuation and
Right.
hurricane forecasting. And if I had to, Kevin, on one of these red phones, I could pick up the phone and talk to someone if I had to. Thankfully, because of our thing with the National Weather Service, can call the National Hurricane Center and talk to the hurricane liaison team for guidance. But that's all coordinated. We just don't do that out of a whim.
I want to go back to hurricanes for in a second, but my uncle Mike, who was out in Carlsbad, California, says, "How would Tony like to be a weatherman out here in San Diego? 75 and sunny, rinse and repeat." I mean, you want to know something? Californians can get so cocky sometimes. You know that? Yeah, I mean, I love my uncle, you know that, but what a life living in San Diego, Tony. Come on.
And I'll tell you, everybody should have an Uncle Mike too. I had one. May he rest in peace. And yeah, if that was the situation, Tony Mondaro would need only one computer monitor and one telephone. And yeah, what beautiful weather they have out there, right? Highs in the 70s and lows in the 50s and 60s, and that happens just all year long.
Well, when my cousin, um, Uncle Mike's son, Billy, came to visit me in 2009, right? We were in a car driving on the Jersey Turnpike, and the skies just turned black, and it started to rain. And if he may be able to correct me, but I am almost certain he said it was the first time he had ever seen a rainstorm in his life. I mean, and he was already a teenager at the time. So could you imagine that? Like living your whole life and not knowing what rain is like? I'll tell you what. That is something, though. But listen, let me ask you this about Erin. Where is she now? And did she ever get to Category 5?
They get to Category 5 briefly after we got off the air last weekend, that Friday night into Saturday morning, briefly. And believe it or not, tomorrow, Aaron, what's left of it, will be approaching Iceland.
Iceland. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Any so I guess there's nothing to worry about in that regard then. If you're just joining us, Tony Mondaro, the Harrison Weather Center, is here with us for his regular spot on this Friday afternoon. Now, I don't know if I should bring this up. My Uncle Mike's here too. But the Mets suck. I mean, there's no other way to say it. What on earth happened to this team? Tony, there was a time I thought this was going to be another 1986 all over again. Now, I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. What is going on? What the hell happened?
Well, we have another big Mets fan here, too, that needs to be acknowledged. You have the great Dan Pronte from the Borough of North Arlington, Mayor, who checked in. Thanks, Mayor. Huge Met fan. And I'm sure at this time he wants to take that laptop of his and throw it out the window, talking about the Mets, because he's probably just as disgusted as both of us. And yes, Lisa, you could rub in a little bit right now. And
Well,
a
not
big hello
really,
to
Tone. The Yankees lost to the Red Sox last night, so let's not get too overexcited here, right?
yeah, and a
Sorry.
big hello to Carol Manley too. I saw her in there as well. That's appreciated.
Yeah, I don't think
But
she gives a crap
yeah,
about baseball, but that's all right.
but for us that are Mets fans a long time, I'm sure I'm speaking for Dan and I'm speaking for yourself and myself. We're used to this, right? These collapses and stuff like that. I'm still a little bit upset about the Soto, getting Soto, spending all that money. The guy just walks around. He stands there and admires home runs. He doesn't run everything out. He walks around there like he's entitled. There's guys down there, I bet you, on the farm that would give their left arm to be a Major League Baseball player. Now, do we all have to be like Brandon Nimmo that
No.
runs out the hard as he can, even on a walk? But show some passion. You know, you have a sore neck. You can't go out there. What about these hockey players? They get 18,000 stitches, and the next shift they're out there, right?
Right, right,
They're
right.
not unless they break a leg or they're dragging them off the ice covered in blood. You usually don't go on any type of disabled list.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I don't disagree with you about Juan Soto. However, he's still having a good year. I mean, I don't get it. He's got 30 home runs. He's going to have 30 stolen bases. He may hit 40 by the time the season is over, but yet it doesn't seem like any one of those home runs that he's hit so far have been of consequence. And Joe Benigno, WFAN, calls him Juan Solo, Solo, because every time he gets a home run, the Mets are losing 9-0, and he tacks on a run. We broke up that no hitter a couple of weeks ago too. So I get it, but there's so much more to this than just Juan Soto, isn't there? I mean, the pitching has gone. When the pitching is off, the hitting is on. When the hitting is off, the pitching is on. So it's never the right combination. But I don't know how to pinpoint it. Is it the manager? What?
The manager doesn't hit the ball. He doesn't pitch the ball. He doesn't field the ball. He's got all talent. I like Mindy. I didn't think I would like Mindy. I was a big Buck Showalter guy.
Yeah.
Wasn't a big David Stearns fan. After last year, I am a David Stearns fan. He gained my respect. Um, you know, um, Mike's saying some stuff about the bullpen guys. I thought when they made their upgrades to the bullpen, I thought that they were on the right track. Hi, Evelyn. How are you? It's just crazy. So now this is the time to go too, Kev. They got a very complicated schedule coming up. So
Yeah.
it's either these next couple of weeks there'll be make or break. Not for the division. It'd be nice if they can come all the way back for the division, but just for a playoff spot.
I'll tell you what, they're in Atlanta tonight. It wouldn't surprise me for a minute if they were swept in Atlanta. which is just pathetic when you think about how bad the Braves are. And when you consider, but you also have to consider that the Washington Nationals just took 2 out of 3. I also wouldn't be surprised if they swept the Braves in the same regard. But then come Monday, it's the Phillies. That's it right there. I mean, if they, I mean, they really, I don't think they have a choice but to win the next 6 games. I don't even think 5-1 would be enough at this point, and I'm not counting my blessings on any of that happening at all. Are you?
Well, we'll see what happens, Kev. And two, I'll make the comment is the way they're losing as well. They're up 5-1. They're up. They have a nice lead, and then they just implode. It seems like after the sixth inning, anything could happen. Even
Yep.
if they have the lead. Even last year when they had a lead, you were in pretty good shape that you win the game. So it's very disappointing. I'm not. I don't know.
I
I'm
know.
not shocked. It's just depressing to see another year potentially going down the tubes. Let's see if
Yep.
they could turn it around. Maybe next week when we talk, we're in a better position, or afraid to say a lot worse, position. And thank God I'm a better weatherman than I am a sports forecaster.
Well, listen, I understand what you're saying. I think the chances are better that we're going to be here saying the season's over a week from today. But stranger things have happened, and remember last year, the first 2 months of the year were abysmal. So maybe it'll be the other way around this time. I mean, who knows? But Tony, tell me what's going on this weekend. It's a beautiful weather weekend, so will that take you anywhere, or is this just one of those like do the garden around the weather center? What's going on this weekend?
Well, gardening is definitely a Sunday chore, and this I don't know if I got a grub issue in the backyard there, but the grass took a hit with between the lack of water and the grass now a different color than green. I'm really upset about that because I take a lot of pride in my lawn.
I know you do.
I hope I don't have a grub issue back there. So we'll see. When I put that little dig of dirt out and see if there's grubs in there, I'll see. But I have a lot of work to do to make that nice again. I only have a little. My brother, because he lives up in Whippany, my brother Charlie, and Charlie, I'm pulling you out right now.
Uh
He
oh.
he, called, he, he called my little backyard a postage stamp.
What? Your backyard is the nicest
Yeah,
property in Hudson County.
a small yard I have that I take a lot of pride in. He calls it a postage stamp.
Let me tell you something. I've never met your brother, okay? And I'm sure maybe the day will come that I will meet him. But that is not a postage stamp back there. That is a beautiful piece of land that makes the rest of us look like we are paupers. So I just had to make sure that's clear because that is the way you keep that property is like nothing I've ever seen before. You do a beautiful job, Tony. Don't let your
Yeah,
brother get you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and by the way, I'll tell you something though. And more serious note, he works at that Pinchbrook golf course where that person got struck in Florham Park, the near fatal lightning strike last weekend, and he said that was crazy. He was actually just leaving the course when that occurred. So,
My
folks, if
God.
you're out there outdoors, just a reminder: you hear thunder, take cover. Take cover. You hear thunder, take cover. Whether you have lightning detection devices or not, and if you do, like North Arlington just purchased, you hear that you see that strobe, and hear that siren. Take cover, even if you don't hear anything. Those things detect the slightest bit of lightning activity. And kudos for the borough for getting a system like that. To protect its residents, its players, its coaches, and everybody else involved in sports. Take them seriously, folks.
Did you recommend that system get put in North Arlington?
At the very beginning, I spoke to the Little League advisor, Bobby, on that. And after I retired, that was something that North Arlington, but it was just at the they took Dan and his group there did a wonderful job selecting. I believe, correct me, Mayor, if I'm wrong. They have a system on every field, and
Wow.
Yeah. So they're very well protected for something like that. And I believe the county has something in place too by another vendor. So yeah, they're really fortified there to keep people safe. But you got to remember, Kevin, because people need to be educated. And there's something right on the fence there. It says
Mm.
if you see that light going or hear that horn honking, get off the field. It may be detecting something developing overhead, and people should really heed that. That's a very good device to have for safety, as well as a good weather advisor and information from the National Weather Service.
In your experience, when there are those kind of detectors on certain fields and whatever locations we're talking about here, do people often ignore them and say, "Ah, it's far enough away. We'll be okay"? Just give me an idea about that.
I don't have enough of knowledge about that. That's maybe something next time you talk to Dan about, or if you want to do a roundtable one day, bring him in and see what his experiences are with a system like that. I'm sure they're happy with it, but with that said, some vendors and some instrumentation, especially years ago, had a higher than normal false alarm rate. But I
Mm.
would take that false alarm as an insurance policy. I wouldn't take in not if I was on a field and it went off, that's I would definitely heed it. I wouldn't play
Yep,
around.
yep. Those
It could be
kids are
could
coming
be
off.
something, yeah, it could be something happening aloft or overhead as that's detecting.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. Now, this was, I think, one of my most enjoyable Fridays. I really liked the gamut of what we covered, from all the storms, the hurricane, and the Mets. Why don't we do this again next week? How's that sound?
I'll tell you, Kevin, I look forward to it. I have a big hourglass here at the Weather Center, and it's programmed to 1:30 on a Friday. So after we get off, I tip the glass and can't wait to this second because it's just unknown what we're going to talk about. And I hope we do maybe one day, Tony and Kevin at night, where we can both let our hair down a little bit and really get interesting. But we gotta get permission. But we gotta get permission from the boss first.
I don't think she would. Well, I won't speak for her. We will get her permission first, and then we'll have a good time, Tony. I'm sure we will. My brother, it's always a pleasure, and I will see you back here in a week.
Very good, Kev. Have a great weekend. Thanks for having me again. And remember, everybody, not a bad weekend. Go out there and enjoy it. And cooler weather ahead for next week. It will be a little below normal temperature wise. Kevin, my pleasure.
Tony, talk to you later, buddy. Bye, everybody.